Welcome, welcome to Satsang. Um, Today I'd like it to be a little bit more experiential than just intellectual. And each Satsang I try to go a little bit more every time into the understanding of vibration. Many teachers are beginning to agree, you know, what so-called experts about the coming changes. And they're saying that now we're shifting completely from intellectual and dealing with the past and dealing with fears and dealing with the ego and going directly into our birthright, understanding who we are. And that will, by itself, when we are ready to start seeing the truth in the moment, in our birthright, in other words, who we really are, then the changes happen by themselves. We don't have to work so hard in overcoming an ego, overcoming the past. As a matter of fact, we'll find that the more we raise our vibrations, the less we have to work with ourselves. Okay, so let's go into that today. What I'd like you to do now is put your hands like this for a moment, please. And this is a matter of receiving. So just say that I am receiving the energy today. And instead of just listening to words, I'm listening to feeling, to vibrations, to the frequency, to the energy, because everything is energy. And once we understand that energy, then of course we become one with it. Now, if I were to ask you right now, without going into any spiritual terms, who are you this moment? Who are you? What are you? Anything that comes to mind that best specifies who you are.
Presence.
You can take presence, but that is something you've realized?
No, I am present.
Yeah, you are presence, okay. Okay, one thing everybody will say, and I'd like to explore that. Everybody would say, I am. But then they say, I am Bert, I am Jess, I am Jan, I am Namjel. You see? And the moment...
And it's kind of tricky because who is the I that's identifying? Because we're trying to actually get... We're actually
This is
the
where
I.
we have to get into what the vibrations are. Because remember, like we said, okay, everything comes from pure awareness. Pure awareness is self-recognizing. So there are two laws, and this is going to make everything clear. There are two things that were going to make us understand how everything is a vibration, and what causes our suffering, what causes our limitation and our fear and our so-called ego is nothing more than a comfort zone. I'm calling it a comfort zone. You can call it stuckness, you can call it non-motion, you can call it whatever. For example, if I say I am Bert, I am is, oh my God, it has no limit. But the moment I say Bert, Bert is stuckness, right? It's a comfort zone. It's a name I've been given. It's not a moving energy. I am is a moving energy. In the Bible, God was asked, who are you? What is your name? And he says, I am that I am. Do you understand that? And that's a big one. There's also the most beautiful 7 words in the English language. Be still and know I am God. Okay, when Jesus walked the earth, he was saying, I am the truth, the life, and the life. And I am the life, the truth, and love. Okay. And the people who followed him, they felt it was him, Jesus, talking about himself. He was merely saying, I am the life and the truth. And you can say that, I can say that, because I am is the life and the truth. Are you with me so far? So let's understand, first of all, when we go into the I am part of you, the first thing you identify with is the body. A locality. You are sitting here. I am here. I am Bert. You see? Immediately there is that identification. We can't help it. Because Identification is part of the process of being human. Without identification, we cannot really grow, actually, you see. So, so therefore, when we identify with the body, there is nothing wrong with that. And to start getting rid of the idea of wrong, because we've been trained all the time, oh, you're not just human, you're a being, and so therefore we begin to think that there's something wrong with the human, not realizing that without the human we cannot realize being. So the human is part of what we need to help us to see deeper and deeper. So therefore, when I say I am, and stop right there, without qualifying anything, just I am, I stop for a moment, become very still and say, what am I identifying with? And immediately I am identifying with Burt, the body, sitting here talking. That's fine, because the moment we make it wrong and we try to go beyond it and try to become spiritual, try to become intellectual, we already lost it. We have to get the energy. So when you see yourself as the body, so what is the body? How do I know I have a body? And then immediately you know you have a body. Not only because you're aware you have a body, but also all the sensations that you're feeling. I'm moving my hands now, I'm moving around. These are all sensations. Okay? So the body is a sensation. It's a moving energy all the time. Did you know that, there is this continual sensation happening, that you are the body? It's right there, reminding you all the time you are the body. So, okay. So now we go into sensation. So what is sensation then? You see, it's the moving energy called emotion. Emotion of energy, motion of energy. Now many people think that emotion is something that is only mind. The body is emotion. In fact, it's referred to as the emotional body. This body is emotion. So if you identify with a thought and you get comfortable with the thought, comfort zone, you get stuck with that thought, in other words, you make it real, it becomes the moving energy around that thought identifies with the thought. The thought stops, becomes hoarded, becomes held in, and becomes emotion. And so now we begin to say, oh, I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling panicky, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that, because we identify with a particular impression we've had, which we called wrong or judged wrong. And now we are suffering that emotion, motion of energy, resulting from that thought. Are you with me so far? So right now I'm seeing that my body is nothing more than not millions, not billions, trillions of cells. And the reason the body is very real to me, and it looks very real to me, and I'm not kidding anyone, but I also know that it's made up of these trillions of cells, and the cells are invisible to the naked eye, and they carry memory in them. So when they are combined into a form called body, they appear real. So now we're beginning to understand that how often do these cells change? Do you know that every day you shed about 1 million cells and they are replaced that same day? And if a person grows old very fast, it's because the shift is not happening as fast. They're shedding faster than they are renewing the cells. So that's how the body ages, okay? So in other words, which is a normal course of evolution, because everything goes through this incredible change. So now we're beginning to see that I am is more than just a form. I am energy. I am these cells. More than these cells, I am the thought that produces them. I am the subconscious and the unconscious mind that produced all this form in the first place. So now we're going deeper and deeper, you see, until we come to the point where we begin to recognize that even when I recognize something, there's a part of me which is recognizing itself. You see, like we talked about, that awareness is self-recognizing. It is also self-organizing. Okay? today just a thought came to mind. I have a woman which I love very much, and she's a regular lover of these satsang and all that. And she's a singer, and she got pregnant, and so we had a session, and she said, "What am I going to do with the child?" And I said, "How do you feel? You know?" And I said, "Listen to your heart." And I said, "Because that's a beautiful miracle to have a child, you know." Anyway, to make a long story short, today she sent me the pictures of her child. I got them on the iPad. I'll show you later. Anyway, they're beautiful little child. But so this makes us realize that child came from that episode. They got together and a child formed inside her, and now it's a beautiful little angel that she's holding in her arms, and she sent me the pictures. So anyway, so that's what came to mind, so I had to talk about it. But this is all part of the miracle. Now the child, by the time he reaches 3 years of age, he begins to develop what is called an ego. This is mine, this is that, blah blah blah, right? It can't help it, okay? So, and it starts by identifying with his body, learning to walk, and identifying with his name, whatever name he's been given, you see? But here is the dynamic of the two things that I'd like you to understand, because it will teach you everything you need to know. Okay, these two aspects are, everything is moving energy, and it's neither good nor bad. It is the judgmental mind that makes it good or bad. And then we have what is called comfort zone. The comfort zone, which I have learned through time by answering these emails, is that people don't want to heal. Okay, if you get depressed, you get comfortable being depressed. You get so used to it, doing the things that you normally do, that you actually don't want to get out of it. And so you keep repeating it over and over again, because right now you've been depressed for a year, let's say. Okay? You're scared not being depressed anymore, because it's going to be a fantastic change from your comfort zone, which you've accepted as part of you. You see? Like there's a woman, she's an intuit. Miss Carolyn Miss, yeah. And she gave a talk one time, why people don't heal. And she said very briefly, because they don't want to. You see? So this is what I'm getting at when when I read these many emails that I get, is that people really don't want to heal. I had a woman one time, and she said to me, Bert, she said, I got so many problems, I got so many things to do, I'm overwhelmed every day, I'm going nuts, how can I stop this? I said, okay, let's do it this way. I said, I'm going to put you in a state of hypnosis where, and I'm playing with her at this point, okay, but I want her to believe me. I'm looking her straight in the eyes, and I said, I'm going to hypnotize you, and I'm going to get rid of all these problems. You'll find that the moment you open your eyes, you'll find there's nothing there, no more worries, no more fears, nothing. And then she stopped. I kid you not, this is true. I said, do you want to? She said, well, hold a minute. He says, what will I be like if I don't have any problem, worries, and everything else? You see? Okay. In other words, she became so used to that it was a comfort zone. Now, what is the difference between a comfort zone and moving energy? Comfort zone doesn't move. Okay? You don't want to get out of your comfort zone. Okay? And this is why people reach a certain age and they don't like to exercise, because it's nicer sitting down, and while you're sitting down, it's nicer kind of lying down. So therefore you reach a point where you become lethargic. That's your comfort zone. So when you reach this comfort zone, people wonder, why am I not progressing? I'm listening to your satsangs, I'm reading these books, they all make sense, I can feel them in my heart, but I'm not changing. Because they don't want to get out of their comfort zone. You see? Now, let's talk about changing energy. Now, everything is constant motion, constant motion. The beautiful thing about constant motion is that you are divine. That is the most beautiful truth. Let's say fear comes through you at the moment, right? And you're afraid. Okay? But what if you see it as moving energy. So what's wrong with fear? You look at it and you let it go. In other words, it doesn't become a comfort zone. You don't hold on to it. You see? So the moment you do that, you'll find that it burns itself. Did you know that if you look at a fear and you smile at it and you take a deep breath and say, it's okay, then you know that if you say that it won't repeat that very same fear? It will not become a part of you. But the reason it does is because we stop. You see? And we get stuck in it and begin to think about it. Is this really the way I am? Is this what's going to happen? But I don't want this to happen. Oh, but it does because it had some truth. Because I remember before this happened to me. You see? And we keep on going. So what are we doing here? We want to hold into it. We want to make it real. You see? So this is what is creating all the melodies and fears. But now consciousness is shifting at such a fast rate that people are getting, and if you really make a research, which I have, especially with the mail that I keep getting every day, is that people are going through tremendous changes in their life. Changes that are affecting financially, maritally, relationship. It's affecting every part of their life. And you might say, but is this consciousness shifting bad, something bad? No, that's the wonderful thing. Everything that you haven't dealt with, all the comfort zones that you have held in, are now surfacing and challenging you, and it's scaring the living daylights out of you. You see, so this is what happens. So, okay, so now we're moved into the physical. We know that the physical is moving all the time, right? There's never a time when the physical is not moving. You might say, well, what about when you sit still? Is the body moving then? Is the body moving when you sit still?
Absolutely.
Oh, yes. Yes, the blood is traveling miles per hour. I mean, it's traveling many miles through the arteries, everything else. And if you just eat, and digestion is still happening, and everything is happening. You see, the brain is firing, it's the neurons. So everything is going on, very active. The subconscious and unconscious, very active. So every part of us, the mind is very active. So, but if you see the mind as nothing more than a moving energy, then you'll find that everything is a moving energy. Fear, hate, jealousy, love, joy. Love and joy are really nothing, okay, the nothing state. But the point is that I'm talking emotionally here. When you're emotionally loving, that's the moving energy. So if you allow all moving energy to be what it is, that's when we reach the divine self, because now we're using the human to express it in being. See, being is. You see? And the being, and there's another one. Here, I am. And I stop. I don't say I am Burt. So therefore, if I am not only this moving energy called body, I am not only the moving energy called mind, I'm not moving energy just being soul or whatever you call it, but I am also that divine essence which is not even local. So here I begin to understand that thinking I am Burt sitting here in this locality is also unreal. It's also not true. Because I am not local. Because as I look at you, everything that I'm saying about me, I am saying about you. There is absolutely no difference at all, right? So therefore, the only difference between us is the appearance and the name, which are comfort zones. We need them to identify with, to give us some comfort and survival. You see what I mean? But the comfort zone in itself is also a killer unless we realize it. You see, and learn from it. So, but other than that, everything is just moving energy. It's moving, never standing still. Okay, that's the evolutionary part, and that's the learning process. Now, these are two long emails, but I'm going to read only just very, very few. And what I'd like to do, just two of them, and I'll read them both. What I'd like you to do is listen to it and tell me where these two aspects apply. Okay? My world is the smallest it's ever been. I feel the world is a hostile place. I am visited on occasion by a pain that runs from my stomach and then moves up to my chest. I'm not always conscious of what triggers it, but I know that the trauma experienced at my previous job, which I left last September, has much to do with it. The experience with my former boss has left me deeply wounded. It has affected my confidence and work abilities at my current job. I fear taking on new projects and have lost a lot of my initiative. At the bottom of everything is that I never could express my anger upon my resignation. Really listen to how it applies with those two words, okay? Change and comfort zone. I kept the real reason of leaving to myself because I feared a backlash from his divide and rule tactics. He had already sidelined me from the team, leaving me vulnerable. Every day I went to work smiling, greeting the team, pretending that I was okay on the outside. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know how to release it. Am I doing enough, or is it time that heals it? He's asking me, okay? The other one, I'll read very briefly here, so I won't confuse you with too much what people think. Okay, Burt, can you talk about how boredom sets in when I'm being still? What to do without feeling the never-ending sense of time that feels dreadfully difficult in which I am in this state. In other words, okay, what he's saying is that the moment he tries to sit still and meditate, he gets bored. This is also common, and I've heard it often. So let's understand what both are saying. Let's go into it, please.
If we look at the latter, the bored, it's because he's moving from a place of what he's used to, and that's not happening anymore. So he has nothing known to entertain him. And where he is going is unknown and probably unidentified. And so that is not of interest to him because his world is built around making sure his kingdom of comfort is taken care of, and where he's going is outside those walls.
Mm-hmm. Right. And because he's going outside of his comfort zone, he equates it with boredom, which is itself the comfort zone, because comfort zone is always boring. Always. It's always dull. It's always makes you dead. You see, you never feel alive.
I think that how people give the illusion of aliveness is through drama in the comfort zone.
That's right. Beautiful. This is why people create drama. This is why the female energy can give in to hysterics and shouting and screaming and slamming doors. Okay, why does an intelligent person do this? Because by creating drama, I'm going to make you listen to me. I'm going to make sure that, you know, this is real, it's happening. I am being affected. I want you to hear me. I am amount to something. Don't ignore me, type of thing, you see? Okay. So we see the dynamics of what takes place, all these things. Now, again, I'm not saying these things are wrong. Not at all. Because if we were to look at them, we will find that's what they're telling us. You see, I'm afraid to get out of my comfort zone and go into a state of being that I'm not familiar with. Oh, I read about it and I'm very excited about it, and I hear that it does many good things, but I don't want to go there because I'm not familiar with it, thinking we're not familiar with it. So the beautiful thing and what is happening now is called vibrational transformation, is that we think we're going into some avenue, some dimension that is new to us. It isn't. It isn't. We've always known it, but never really looked at it. We never saw it. We never sat with it, in other words, you see?
Experienced it.
Never experienced it, right. So you see, this is what happens. Some people say, well, I experienced this, and wow, it just changed everything in my life. But what has happened is that there was that recognition that the thing that I was fearing is actually better than what I thought. In other words, the very thing I feared was really the thing I wanted. But it didn't strike me until I actually experienced it directly. So the moment you experience something directly, people say, oh, wow, it made me change. Well, what happened is you've always been divine and beautiful being, you see? But it's only because you recognized that the thing you feared wasn't fearful at all. We're afraid of the unknown, because the unknown is the non-locality of you, you see? But you've never been local anyway, except seemingly so, because you identified with the form in this particular lifetime. That doesn't mean you are not. See, many people used to think when you talk like this, they say, Bert, you're telling us that I am not who I think I am not the body. Well, yeah, you are this I am, the body, but it's such a small fragment of what you are that for you to be happy and fulfilled is impossible. See? So this is the point. And now with the changes that are happening, we're not making the past of being small as something bad, but simply it is something that you do really, really, really do not want. And the moment you realize that you really don't want it, I mean, realize it, okay? You snap out of your comfort zone. You know? So, what was interesting is when I was in Toronto, I visited a couple of mental homes. And I was doing a lot of writing, and I wanted to work myself in there, doing research, doing some writing. And I was allowed reluctantly by the psychiatrist. And I was raising questions like, well, you know, these people are not getting any better. They're fed drugs forcibly by the male nurses. Sometimes they even tie them up into a bed or something like that. They're screaming. I mean, it's horrendous. Okay, it wasn't a pleasant experience for me. But when I raised up those questions, the psychiatrist said, "There's not enough of us to treat the people that are sick." Okay, but then it disturbed me so much, it bothered me so much, that I went into a dedicated way to understand what makes people suffer so much, what makes people really go through such trauma, you see? And the answer was very, very simple. See, first we have the nature of identification. And then we have ideas how things should be because of the way we've been brought up. You see, especially being brought up in a religion where it tells you this is a sin if you do it. So therefore you're carrying guilt most of the time, thinking you're doing something wrong. So you carry this with you. When you carry this with you, you want to get rid of it. Just like a pebble in your shoe, you want to get rid of it, but you can't find it. Like an itch, trying to scratch it, but it never goes away. You see? So this is what drives people crazy. In trying to control, trying to get rid of something that you can't get rid of because you created it in the first place. You put it there because you want it there. So therefore you come into a point where, oh my God, there is really something wrong with me. You see? And it's a form of insane thinking. No, that's also a comfort zone. Okay? Now, the reason it's called a comfort zone is because you reach a point where you you almost give up on life, you see? And yet, you keep on resorting to that line of thinking, to that, you know, and you can never see how beautiful you are, how glorious, how everything is so orchestrated to create this symphony called you. You see, because the greatest fear that we have is understanding that you are not local at all. Do you know what I mean when I say not local?
Mm-hmm. Means that you're not this place that your body occupies.
That's right. This place that your body occupies, you are not that. The body occupies that locality.
Yep.
You don't.
Right.
Okay? Because you are not inside the body. That's ridiculous. The body is inside you. You are non-local, but the body is inside you and appears then as you. You see? So what is happening is that the I am in the beginning is a very small I am. And then we call it ego. Okay? Which is all suffering because it's all limited. Because we have ideas, structures, plus all the conditioning we've had, and we think this is who we are. So we identify so strongly with that limitation that the idea of being more than the I am, that I think I am, we cannot go that far. And also, because of our comfort zone. We like our lifestyle, whether we hate it or not, we still like it because we're used to it. You see? You know, so we keep on repeating over and over again, afraid to step out on an unknown territory, on a place where it's kind of challenging, it's frightening. You see? But the moment we experience our non-locality, okay, there's a tremendous euphoria. It doesn't last long because the body cannot take too long of it. Did you know that? Yeah. If you were to experience a non-local vibration for too long a period, the mind, conditioning and everything else protects you. The body protects you. Okay? And it brings you back so that you can deal with it. Next time it will be a little more, a little more, a little more, a little more, until you realize you are everything and everyone. I am. You see? When Buddha woke up, he said, you know, he said the same thing that Jesus said. I am. You know? And he wasn't talking about himself. I am. So here we are, the average person, everybody knows that they are. I am. Everybody says I am. But whatever you put after I am is the comfort zone. If you remove the comfort zone and you only remain I am, now you are moving energy, now you're alive, you see? Now you are in full divine essence. Because now you're living from that force, from that source, you see? You're unlimited. And you're not afraid of death or whatever might befall you because you're not that. You're much more than that. Okay, so let's take the other person now. The other person, he was traumatized by his boss. And then when he went to work, he was all smiles and, you know, so that he doesn't, so that he's liked. You see, but inside he's churning. Okay? What is happening there? What is taking place?
Well, he's denying his expression.
He's denying his expression, that's true.
He's
because its expression is what he is feeling, isn't it? See, the moving energy is the feeling. If you deny the feeling, aren't you dying?
Well, it depends on how he's processing that inside. Like if he's
Yes.
not taking
And how is he
responsibility,
processing it inside?
he's blaming it
That's right.
and not
That's
dealing
right.
with it.
Not only he's not taking responsibility for that, but he's blaming it on his boss. His boss could be a crude person, could be a very in-your-face type of person, but that's his that's his lifestyle. That's who he is. You see,
Well,
people are people.
by projecting it outside, it makes it much easier to stay in your comfort zone because then you don't even have to look at claim your own.
Right.
So that um, if he were to explode as his energy is moving him towards, um, it would totally blow his image.
Yes.
And
And now here we go to the image. You see, the image is the comfort zone too. We all carry an image that goes with the I am. It's so interesting. Thank you. Okay. So this is where were we? Yeah. This is where we begin to expand. We got to keep on moving. Now, we are accelerating at a tremendous speed the year 2013. Consciousness is shifting at a rate that the people who are getting stuck in their comfort zone are becoming sick. They're becoming very frightened. But if they were to and accept what is happening and move with it, they begin to see everybody is going through the same thing. It's not them alone.
I just had a flash of a paradox, because in some ways, by not taking responsibility and blaming out there, he's making himself, or we make ourselves, a helpless victim.
Yes.
And yet, it is our true helplessness that we are terrified of.
Beautiful.
But this helplessness has
Yeah.
a good identity that you can dig down into.
Yes, yes. Well, look at me. Don't you want to care for me? Don't you want to help me? Don't you sympathize? You know, I need help, type of thing, right? Yeah. So, but helplessness itself is, if we were to accept it and really realize the power, because the small I am that you are is totally helpless, but the I am you really are is not only not helpless, but in total command of its own life. We actually are the products of what we created ourselves. You see, so this is where the conflict comes, and people studying spirituality, they sometimes they go into conflict. One way is that God does everything, and you as an ego don't do anything. That's kind of frightening. Okay, and then there is that, but you are God and you do everything. So you are the product. So how you are now, how you are acting, believing, behaving, is all created by you, because you are the I am. So we're looking at it from the higher perspective, which is the law of attraction. You see,
Now,
the wholeness.
in there I see both open to ego manipulation, because both of them could try to use that theory to actually be in control. But it would be the small in control.
The small control, which is resistance,
Yes,
rather than
that's right.
right.
So the ego can use any philosophy to protect itself.
Yes.
So it's that thing you said at the beginning. We have to go beyond the words and beyond the mental gymnastics to feel that vibration of what that means, that experience outside the box.
Right. And the only way we can do that by total and utter honesty. You see, total honesty. You see, because we read so much, because we listen to teachers, because we listen this, we listen that, and I've learned to stop listening to teachers, not because they are wrong, no, not at all, but I've learned to listen to the Holy Spirit, and this is why it excites me when you start talking from within yourself, and that's why, Jesse, you excited me one time. You last satsang we were talking.
Just one time?
And well, no. Well, and you were talking, and it was coming from inside you. And you said, "Well, I don't know what I'm saying." No, I said, "You do know." You know, and it was beautiful what you said. So, what is the key here? Importance is that when we get in touch with our feeling, how we really feel, honestly. You see, without pretending, without wanting others to think of us differently, whatever. Like we have the courage to be who we are. You see? What happens is that this is how it evolves, the I am evolves. It expands automatically. So if you ask a person, who are you? Okay, they can say, well, I'm spirit, or I'm a child of God, going back to what they studied in spirituality. You see, that's not honest. Who are you right now, this moment? You see, this is why when you said presence, I said, this is something you're feeling. If you're feeling now, that's honest. You see? So when you say something like how you're actually feeling it, see, when I asked myself quite some time ago, but this is how I started exploring how does the body feel, I became aware of incredible amount, thousands of sensations and feelings and emotions, and I was amazed. The heat in my hands, the trembling in another, the movement in my stomach. You know, there's just like thousands and thousands of feelings going through me. And this energy is not right or wrong. It is just that motion.
As you're talking, I'm just hearing you describe what vulnerability is.
That's
It's like
vulnerability.
a pure openness to your pure
Absolute.
experience of
Pure experience
where you
just
are.
as it is.
Yeah.
Without fear that you're going to be criticized, without fear that somebody's going to say, oh, you're a spiritual person, you shouldn't be thinking so small. See, the point is that that total honesty is what starts breaking you free from the limited I am to the I am that you truly, truly are. You see?
And there, in that too, it's like you say, there is no wrong. Because
There
it's
is
just
no
where
wrong.
you are. How can it be
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You see, we've been brought up to believe, and I certainly was brought up to believe that, not only that many things are wrong and sinful, but if I am angry, this is also sinful. If I shout back at my parents, which I'm not saying that one should, but that's not the point, then I'd feel very, very guilty. Then if I say what I'm thinking, you see, this is wrong. At one time when I was brought up, being taught catechism, and how Jesus suffered for our sins and all this, you see. So I raised a few questions to the teacher that was teaching us this Catholic religion. And I don't know exactly what I asked, but it was sincere. I was very, very wanted to know. I had this incredible urge to know. And I was punished severely for questioning my teachers and for not listening to them, who know better than I do. And I was left after school, and I remember telling my dad about that, and he understood that how stifled we are. So I'm very grateful to that part, but that's beside the point. So what I'm saying is that the moment we start to say things as they actually are, there's always the idea that this is wrong. And so we cover it up with a smile. We cover it up by being nice so that other people see a demeanor that we want them to believe we are. But the moment we do that, we know we're playing a game, and so inside we die.
So what is it about being honest that we think we're wrong?
Because there's always the idea of limitation. You see, for example, if let's say your parents told you that if you think about sex, you're a bad girl, okay? And so one day you masturbate, okay? And then all of a sudden you begin to suffer guilt. You see? So therefore one day you go out with a lot of people and he says, okay, let's all be honest how we feel. And then somebody comes back to you and says, okay, how did you feel? And then you tell them again that you did masturbate. Everybody's shocked. We just don't talk about things like this. You see? So here we are again, you're feeling small again. So from now on, what you're going to do is to heck with honesty. I'm going to pretend I'm perfect, and you die. because you're not being real. So the point I'm saying is that to be true to your energy at all costs. Because when you're true to your energy, yes, other people will not understand. That's definite. But the consciousness is changing, of course. But what happens is that you're able to be on your own ground and be who you are. There is something that I would like to read to you because it was so beautiful. I just got it just before you came, and and I found it on Facebook, and it was given by the one that wrote the book, Dying to Be Me, Murjani, Anita Murjani. This is what she said. Remember that the biggest message for you is to be who you are, just as you are. Because that's why you are here. You are here to express your magnificence and to shine your light as brightly as you can. Don't deprive the universe of the world of who you came here to be.
It's beautiful.
Isn't that beautiful? See, because once you have the courage to be you and not make things wrong or right, but simply, this is how I'm feeling right now. Okay? Things begin to change. Yeah.
Guilt is is such a box to keep that comfort zone.
Yes.
And it's, it can be used both ways. One, because when you feel guilty, then you can buy that those are the walls as well. And yes, it's usually implanted by society. In some way you learned that, but then you can perpetuate that because it actually gives you something to push up against and again get your identity from. But if you don't have guilt, you're standing out on the naked cliff.
Right.
You don't know anything except sensation. And I think that for most people, that's scary, given that the society is going to be throwing tomatoes.
Yes. Yes. Also, society encourages guilt.
Yeah, it's a great controlling device.
It's a great controlling device. How many times parents have said to their children, how could you do this to me after all I've done for you?
I think it's done in such a way that it's not labeled as guilt, it's more standardization.
Same thing.
Like you're brought up to fit between like a certain...
But the truth is, the honest truth is, when you get in touch with the feelings, it is still guilt. See, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not saying things how I should be supposed to be saying them. You see? So immediately there is this discrepancy, this feeling that I am doing something wrong, there's something wrong with me, and I'm not right, I am this and I am that. See? And what we're doing, the I am, is your divine nature. But I am not right. I am not good enough. I am wrong. See how what we're doing? And so one time a great master said, the I am is the most wonderful, beautiful thing you have. But be careful what you put behind it. Because the moment you put something, you create your own hell. You see? And so this is why, I am, and you can stop there. And that's your expansion, because every human that you meet is the same I am you are. Isn't that something? Exactly the same.
And that goes on amming forever. There's
forever.
It's an action. It's for lack of better words,
There is no limit to I am. You see, that's a mystery, that's a beauty, that we can't conceive.
There just seems to be so much constant, I guess the word is like an attack, a self-rejection happening constantly.
Yes, constant.
Like any judgment is self-rejection.
Yes.
Like even not recognizing this employee-employer here.
Yeah.
So even him holding that back is self-rejection.
Of course.
Like it's so,
Very good. That's exactly it. Yes. Yes.
yeah.
I don't think it's rejection so much as it is prevention from being your higher self, so to speak.
Yeah, but it works the same way.
But it consistently keeps you in check,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah. See, there's another thing too, is that the body itself is tuned to protect us. Okay, we know that, right? The body is trying to protect you. Now, I'm not talking about the ego part itself, but the body tries to protect you. For example, if how shall I give an example of this? Okay, your body is not used to drinking. Okay, so you take a couple of drinks which you're not used to, and before you know it, you're already drunk. So the body stops you from exaggerating it and driving yourself sick. So something is always happening to protect you. You see, so that's part also of the body. We have to understand all the different dynamics that we have been brought up in. You see, so the instinct of survival, for example, the instinct of survival was meant for so that we can survive physically. You know, I mean, if you see a hole in front of you, you don't, you know, you go around it. You don't just keep walking. There is a part that says, "Be careful! If you fall, you're going to hurt yourself." So that's the instinct of survival. So that's healthy. But what happens also, the instinct of survival, is that fear, which is very basic fear, becomes psychological fear. Now, what if I talk to that person and I tell him what I think, and then he's twice the size and punches me and kills me? So the survival fear comes in, and then we begin to suffer that through psychological fear. You know, you're behind the office, you're not moving at all. But there are people walking by all the time talking to you, and you're very careful what to say because you're trying to protect yourself all the time from being vulnerable. So the word vulnerable, which is the honesty of your feeling, you don't want to be vulnerable, because if you're vulnerable, then you're going to get hurt. Not realizing that nobody can hurt you except the vulnerability itself that gets hurt. Okay, so that's you see what I mean? Like the body is trying to protect you. There's the instinct of survival.
We need to discriminate between what is biologically ingrained in us, so that we don't like, oh well, everything is an experience, I'll just step out in front of this car, no problem. So we have to use our discriminating awareness as well. Yes, everything is God, and we still have to, while we're exploring, be discriminating and aware, so that we don't, as an example, override unwantedly the biological survival mechanism. That's just as an example.
Doesn't all that almost disappear when you're in the zone? I mean, when you're
what do you mean in the zone?
Yes.
not in the zone, but in your
presence.
In
presence?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
like
yeah.
To me, that's just ultimate freedom.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
That's
this
right.
is
Of
it.
aliveness, of life.
But this is the beauty of the change, when we see everything is changing, where there's no comfort zone at all. Like we keep moving, allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, allowing ourselves to be open, no matter what people think, allowing ourselves to be honest with who we are, the way we are, and love ourselves no matter what, because we are. I am the way I am, because whether you like it or not, it's your problem, not mine. I can't help being who I am. Okay, so when that becomes your way, you are becoming more of a presence. You're expanding more. You're beginning to see more. You're beginning to understand other people and their fears and everything else, because all they're doing is protecting themselves so that they are liked, so that they are loved, so that they won't hate me, so that they won't think bad of me. See, we're so afraid of not being loved that we cannot love ourselves. And that's the dynamic. But when you love yourself despite, then it doesn't matter who loves you or doesn't love you. You love them anyway. It doesn't matter how they think about you, you see, which is also called forgiveness. So when you come into that point, then all these things that were like a paradox in me, they will begin to fall away. And what you're left with is who you are meant to be, which is the I am.
Which we can't predispose, because if we predispose who we should be, we're just recaught back in.
Of course, because there's no way that you can ever know what you're
Right.
supposed to be.
It has
All
to,
you can do is be.
yes,
Is be
and
you.
then
Yeah.
life evolves you as the mystery
Yes.
wants.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And the beautiful thing is that as you begin to move and allowing the mystery in total honesty, in total being yourself, you begin to fall in love with the I am that you are. And it is that which is the joy, which is the heaven, which is the divine state. You see? You begin to fall in love with we used to call it the beloved, remember? Yeah. So, is that clear about the two aspects then? Okay, the moving energy is the spiritual energy. But here's a question I want to ask you now, and I want to see how you answer it. Okay, the 7 words are complete. Be still and know. I am God. Now, the word be still. Is stillness no motion?
No.
Stillness is very
It's only
active.
the mind, isn't it?
Stillness is like presence and awareness. It is full of life.
Full of life. It's not local. It's just non-local. It just is. It's yeah.
Stillness
It's at the essence, the divine essence.
isn't suppressing anything from moving. It is realizing the nature of the exuberance of life itself, because you're quiet and not running around distracting yourself.
Yes.
You can sit in the middle of that presence.
Yeah.
You can be the middle of that presence.
Yeah. See, this I'd like to state too, because I remember many years ago when I became aware, like, who am I? You know, because I used to repeat it from Ramana Maharshi used to say, always ask who am I, until you come to that point of I am. And so I used to see the body is full of itching, the body is full of sensations and everything else, which they're always there, but I wasn't aware of it. And so I came to the point where I just couldn't sit still. You see, it was really bugging me, you know, because there's so much energy is going through. I became aware of things I wasn't aware that I was having them all the time, you know. And then I had an urge to pee, or an urge to do this and an urge to do that. So I came to the point where I said, okay, now I'll stay with what is happening. I'll stay with all the movements that are happening, you see? And I became still. And that stillness became the most beautiful, euphoric state. Because I allowed all the movements to happen, I allowed everything to happen, and I became the observer of it. So there was a detached observation of the process called birth. You see? So as I looked at birth, I was the I am experiencing itself. And I guess that became sort of a breakthrough for me, when I could allow everything to be as it is and not try to get rid of it, change it, struggle against it or anything. And that's what stillness is. So thank you. You expressed stillness beautifully here. That's great. And the reason I wanted to mention it is because people might say, well, Bert, you're saying that everything is motion of energy. What about stillness? You see? So stillness is the very aliveness of life.
It's more of the constipation that brings the problem.
Yes, the constipation. Who was it? The master Pinage Desai. He said that.
I think it's more stripping the process away from the content itself. Like instead of doing the busy work around something, you strip all of that away and it is just that thing.
Yeah.
You know?
And
You know what I mean?
yeah, what is that one thing? Stillness, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So once you strip everything, you're not being non-moving. You just are. You are everything. You see, at that point.
So how could you apply that to any problem or situation?
See, a problem is a moving energy.
I guess I'm just going back to that employee.
Yeah.
Right.
Everything that you think is negative, okay, is a moving energy. It's moving, just like hate, just like sadness. If you stay with sadness, if you hoard it, okay, it becomes anger. If you hoard anger, it becomes rage. You see, if you hoard negativity, you become depressed. So it keeps on. This hoarding is holding in.
And I guess that probably goes numb, which is what disease would be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Disease. Yes. Yeah. So this is what is happening. So we want to go into our comfort zone. You see, the comfort zone means that we are hanging on to the very things we fear.
So we kind of numb out then, I guess.
We numb out.
We can numb out. Yeah.
Right. We numb out.
So, or block more so too.
Yeah.
Block.
See, this is why if you study, I'm not saying that I have reached some solutions, but you know, there are certain people at certain age, they reach dementia or other diseases, and you know, how do we know that these are not created because they just don't move? You see, there's so much in their comfort zone that they begin to die. The memory dies, the concentration dies.
But sometimes it's hard to find words to those feelings too, right?
Yeah,
You know.
but everything is a feeling and it's okay. You see, I don't think I can say this enough, and this is the contribution I want to make on YouTube because I've learned it myself. I was a great controller all my life because I was brought up how I should be, how I shouldn't be, blah blah blah. You know, I was a good Boy Scout too for 7 years, and I went through so much. But anyway, but now I'm realizing that if you want to really keep alive, if you want to be healthy, if you want to be happy, be yourself. Doesn't matter what people think. It doesn't matter what happens. You see.
The lay interpretation of be yourself is, okay, I'm just going to put my ego out there. So it's actually letting yourself be who you are and being aware of that.
Yes.
Because that will be self-cleaning.
That would be self-cleaning. You see, that's a beautiful thing, and this is why this age 2013 that we are in right now is that vibrations, getting in touch with vibrations is all we need. Because once we see that everything is a vibration, everything is energy, whether it's anger, whether it's unhappiness, whether it's, it doesn't matter what it is, it's just energy. And energy is energy, it's neither good nor bad. And you allow it. The moment you allow it, there's also another part of you says, oh my goodness, you know, I was so angry, I was so furious, and now I'm laughing. It just, where did it go? Like it changes because you allowed it. Because it was okay to move with it and not fight it and not resist it, you see. I had a guy, he wrote me and he kept saying, you know, he said, Burt, he says, I'm so addicted to pornography and I can't stop. And he's getting to be an older man and he masturbates all the time and he's always tired and has no energy. No wonder. So one day as we were talking, you know, this was through email. So I wrote him back and I said, I said something that really, really hit him, because on the outside he's a very prestigious man. He's very wealthy, he's well-to-do, etc., etc. And I said, I said, you know, if you try to stop doing it, you'll be more attracted to it. You know, you cannot stop it, you cannot do that. I said, but for a moment, I said, ask yourself, what are you getting out of it? And is it worth your self-respect? Well, the moment I said to him, self-respect, he thought about it, he stopped. He never entertained the idea that was losing respect for himself. My goodness. He wrote me back and he says it just stopped by itself. I'm not interested anymore. It was something that hit. Just like the woman who was ready to commit suicide on Skype, and she was saying, and I said, what does depression feel like? And she said, I'm totally helpless. I said, explore that helplessness. Understand it, be one with it. And she changed.
So is it necessary to become yourself?
No,
Before
you're
you can-
always yourself. It's just that we learned not to be who we are because our parents, their parents' parents, our education, our nationality, our religion, our country, all these traditions that we brought up with, they're all teach you, listen to this, because it was all third dimensional. They all teach you this is wrong, this is right, this is morally right, this is morally wrong. You were taught all this stuff, you see? So naturally you're built up with all these
You're so
ideas,
full of
filled
it,
with
yeah.
guilt. You see? So it's all conditioning, until finally you realize I am okay as I am.
But it's almost like I'm hearing in this example, it's almost like a moment of some sort of self-love that
Yes,
just
see,
blossoms from.
that's right. But the moment he realized that he's not so respecting himself, it struck him. Yeah.
But
That
that's
was the
where that
key.
moment of love
That was the key, because respect to him was very important. It's his form of love that he wanted more than anything. You see, that's why he would never talk to anybody about it, and he wrote me in confidence, of course.
Yeah.
And so this was what is the word, the thing that broke the camel's back,
The straw.
the straw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
And so
missing link.
we all have something that can take us out of our comfort zone. We just have to find it. There's always something that we can make us stop.
So the comfort zone is actually very uncomfortable.
Yes, yes, but you get so used to it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you an example. You see that chair over there? Okay, the reason I bought it many years ago was because I like this way back, and I can lean back and go like this and get comfortable. And many times when I used to meditate on it, I used to fall asleep. Well, at one point, quite recently, as a matter of fact, I hurt my back. Okay, with a computer and all this, but that's not important how it happened. And just a big wave in my back, and that really bothered me. And the more I sat in that chair, the worse it got. So, but all I wanted to do was sit down, because the pain was so great. When I walk, I'm bending over, you remember? and so all I can think of is go to my comfort zone and sit in the chair. Because when I sit, I don't feel the pain. But because of its structure, because the way it is, it made the pain worse when I got up. So therefore, I no, I've got to get out of this comfort zone. Even if it's not a comfortable chair, I've got to get rid of it. You see, so I got it out of the room, which wasn't easy, and I put it there, whatever was going to happen to it. And so now I'm sitting more on a straight, something like that. Okay, and the pain eased. I wasn't making it worse. So, but I had to get out of my comfort zone. It is so comfortable. You sit on it and you see, But don't stay too long if your back is bothering you.
Exactly.
Because if you get up, then you won't be able to walk. So yeah, so we have to do things that are we become comfortable in them. But we have to face the fact that that comfort is making things worse. Are we willing to break free from that comfort zone? You know?
And then it's the fear in front of that seemingly
Yeah,
comfortable place that is stopping us.
yeah.
So it's not even what's beyond the fear, it's just that fear of,
It's the fear itself.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We can.
But let's understand the comfort zone itself here, because the comfort zone is really a comfort zone.
Well,
We get
because
comfortable
it's
in
the
it.
known.
Hmm?
It's the known.
It's the known. It's familiar.
Yeah,
It's familiar.
familiar.
Yeah, you know. Do you know that there have been people who have been incarcerated for 20 years in prison, and even in isolation? They suffered a lot. And in prison. But when they were set free, they committed another crime to be set in again, to go back to their cell. It became a comfort zone. They couldn't live outside anymore. You see? So even what they hated and everything, oh, when I'm going to be free, I'm going outside, I'm going to be do this, do this, do this, do that. You see? But something in them became so used to being in that comfort zone that they actually couldn't do without it. But if you have the courage to break free from the comfort zone because you see that it's a detrimental thing rather than a comfort, then that breaking free would be the evolution, the moving forward. Because it's moving, it has to move all the time.